Tuesday. And when we see the landlord, we know that we can.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. This is Lisa Parker again, your director. I'm sorry that I have a freeze frame picture, but I was having difficulty uploading my video. We are, in fact, the slaves to technology, aren't we? But anyway, I just want to begin by thanking our fantastic cast. We have Trish Urso, we have Barbara Gallo, and we have Paul Tafoya. Woohoo! Thank you all so much. I also need to say thank you to our stage manager / tech director extraordinaire, Jason Frigeau, who is with us. Jerry Zaleski, our classic lighting guy, who has, he's not on screen, but we thank him anyway. And also we thank our producer extraordinaire, Rissa Frigeau. So thank you all to them. Please applaud if you are able to. Thank you. And thank you for coming to our talkback session. Again, to submit a question, just go into your YouTube account and submit it to chat. And then Rissa behind the scenes will ask the questions as they come in. I would like to take a moment now and welcome Nancy Zimbalist. Nancy is a veteran art teacher in one of Massachusetts' largest suburban districts. She recently transferred to the high school level after 18 years of working with elementary, although we have to say, Nancy, quite a year to make a change. Because of COVID, she's teaching art remotely. And she's wondering how come all of her students look like a flat black box. I'm wondering how they're submitting their art projects, but we can talk about that later. Nancy is a certified K-12 teacher, administrator, and is finishing her ESL certificate. She has a certificate in creative leadership from the Perone Sizer Institute. She's a former National Endowment of the Humanities Scholar. She has a master's in arts education from Bridgewater State University, a post-AB in education, and a BFA from Washington University in St. Louis. And you're probably wondering what she must think of our educators and TV producers tonight. So, hi, Nancy.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. So, what is your day like teaching virtually?
It's a lot of, are you there? You're muted. It's, where did they go? Wait. Oh, I actually have sometimes a sibling will log on and go, they just went to the bathroom. They'll be right back. It's just stuff you can't imagine. I stare at an entire screen of black rectangles and try to figure out how to treat it.
Wow. I mean, that sounds so incredibly challenging. So I have a question for you. If Tegan and Rayona knocked on your door, what would it take for you to even consider their offer?
Well, it's pretty far from what we do, so it's absolutely impossible. And I think that this time has really taught how difficult it is, like for students to learn without having a teacher present. I think there was a lot of thought, and we heard a lot of it that friends and people that would say, "Oh, they just my kid can learn from home," and then we heard, "Oh my gosh, teachers are teaching. We love their teacher. Why are my kids still?" And this is so much harder. And then we learned, it's an impossible task to do it. Just there's very, very few kids who can even come close to it.
Yeah. What aspect, is there any aspect of your experience, and let's think about even pre-COVID, you've been in this business a long time with 18 years plus, right? Is there any aspect of your experience as a teacher that you think would make a good reality show?
Well, I keep trying to think about how I could do a podcast called The Teacher's Lounge. But
Yes.
it would have to be with the brown paper bag over you, and you couldn't actually you couldn't actually keep your job and have the true discussion. There's a great principal right now out of Kentucky, Jerry Brooks, who does the funniest videos that he puts out, and he's become a celebrity. And he sits in his car because he can't do it from his school, and he makes the funniest twists on these situations that are just they're cute and funny, and you kind of shake your head and you keep going through your day.
And teachers everywhere would relate to that, yes?
Oh, he's a fan favorite.
Oh, what was his name again, Nancy?
Jerry Brooks.
Okay.
If you Google Jerry Brooks and lamination is permanent.
Okay, great.
Kind of hits at it.
Risa. Is that Risa in the background?
So I have some questions for Lisa. So actors, can you share Actors, can you share where you got your inspiration for these roles?
Denise, why don't you start, Denise Watson?
Well, my husband was a teacher. I will not name the school system, but for 33 years. And based on his stories of administrators and how some of them started out as teachers and then went to guidance counselors and went to principals and so forth. And then they went over to the dark side as they went further up the ladder. So I kind of was there. But as far as all the problems with the system, the teachers deal with and administrators deal with, I got to hear a lot about that over the years. But I went to the idea that something about the power does take you to the dark side.
Trish, how'd you get your inspiration?
I mean, this is just me, so. Honestly, a lot of it was, first of all, the script itself. Like, Joe Starzik, he just comes up with these ridiculous ideas, and I mean that in the best possible way. And auditioning, Lisa had us intentionally go over the top, which is my favorite thing to do. And then, in rehearsal, Lisa worked with us to kind of say, okay, what's the backstory, and what do you think? Why do you think you're saying these things? So that was really how it all came out. And there are different pieces of inspiration in different lines. So like at one point, I think when I'm introducing myself, I kind of channeled like, I wonder how Barack Obama introduces himself to people. Like, it is your pleasure to meet me. I mean, he's a very humble man, but so yeah, that's a lot of different places, I guess.
Paul?
After reading the script, I felt like Tegan was a multi-level marketer for most of his life, and that kind of brings me to that kind of salesman thing where all that matters is the sale. And then we developed it through the rehearsals with Lisa and my co-actors, and kind of came up with what we got.
Fantastic. Risa, any other questions that came in?
Something else, Risa? Maybe something else for Nancy?
So Anne-Marie,
No need to read.
I often wanted to write a book entitled My Life on the Stage. Wait, that was my classroom.
Nancy, Anna Marie Johansson was an actor and director with Suffolk Players for many, many years, and she was a teacher in the Long Meadow school system. She's moved to Cape Cod permanently, so yes, this question is very real for her.
Yeah, I think that that people don't understand that you wouldn't ask an actor to do a 6-hour theater improv all day long, and that's what you're doing is 6 hours of improv with 25 different things 25 different people participating at the same time and getting them all excited and engaged and it's very much like being on stage.
Nancy, were you able to have any time in the high school classroom before COVID? Just a couple of months, right?
No, I haven't met my students at all face to face.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable. Okay.
Those of us who have moved to schools this year, we're working really hard to build those relationships.
Yeah.
We've gone out to their homes. We've made home visits. We've done neighborhood visits. We've met them in parks to make sure that they get their materials. We've done all sorts of things to make sure that that they have what they need.
Yeah.
I think Risa has another question for Nancy. Go ahead.
Are there activities you've adopted to keep students interested?
I've learned some technology that's helped that I would probably not use in the classroom without projectors and screens and everything. But now, I try to not. They're sitting in front of the screen a lot, so I try to get them up and move them, which I did anyway. But we're doing a lot of photography because they all have a phone for the most part, or they have a camera on their Chromebook, so they can do design and that sort of thing. So that's something that I've come to figure out that it works, and they have to bring it back and they create galleries of what they're learning about right away, right now. And that's they're just like we have a hard time focusing on one thing in front of us with the phone and everything else. They're having a tremendous difficulty. So that gets them up and moving and keeps them focused on what we're doing.
Excellent.
Hey, Nancy, I've got a question too. How do you feel that it's like a good year and a half that these students are missing? Kind of. How do you see the future? Are they going to be a year and a half constantly behind? And on the other hand, there are things that they may be picking up in this year and a half that they would not have had. Maybe you could speak to.
Well, I think that it's going to be different for every kid, and I think it's going to be different for every group. This has highlighted a lot of inequities in our society, and what the kids who we've known had inequities have made it it's really brought a magnifying glass on that. And I do think that they're going to walk away from this time and this year with an experience that we didn't have, that our parents didn't have, and our parents had other experiences. So but I think this is going to be a thing that they tell their grandkids, and there's going to be no substitution for whatever the learning is. The curve that has happened and the way technology is pushed forward and all sorts of things to bridge this gap, it forced, like really was forced. That there was nothing that could stop it. It had to happen fast. So we'll see where it goes. But I think that it's going to be different for every kid and how districts are able to fix that. There's a lot of talk about different ways, and I don't think anybody really knows where that's going yet.
Any other questions coming in for anyone on our panel?
Any other questions, Risa?
So do you see kids who don't have proper equipment or have problems with getting what they need?
I would say I actually see kids who don't have proper equipment more where I live, in a very high-level suburban school district than where I teach. We have rolled out technology for every single student, and it's a 50,000 student school district. Whereas, that's what I mean. When it happened fast, and they all have Chromebooks. And if there's a problem with that Chromebook and that camera goes out, somebody goes out to their house and switches it out.
Wow.
Yeah. So and we don't hear those stories, and I think it's one of the things that's very hard for us as teachers right now in this time is what's happening, and what you hear on the other side is the we feel like we're this knot in the middle of a tug of war between the what we should do, what people are afraid of, all of that. But as far as the technology goes, it in my kids' school district, I hear more stories, and there's been more problems about making sure that those kids all have Chromebooks. Whereas we have 4-year-olds that we make, where I teach in an urban school district, even our 4-year-olds have Chromebooks.
Oh man. Wow. Well, the technology, even just what we've been trying to do here with the Suffolk Players on our virtual productions, it's been kind of interesting. It's the first time in probably my 40 years of doing theater where whether or not you have an Ethernet cable will affect whether or not you get cast. Right? I mean, it's an odd time even in our hobbies, in our work life, across the board, the whole technology thing. Actors, I want to ask the actors a question. If you could wave your magic wand and make one change for virtual theater that would make it easier or better for you as an actor, what would it be?
Guaranteed technology.
Yes, some kind of performance guarantee. Yeah, right.
I think that's
You
not
wouldn't have to
tomorrow.
worry about the hanging and the freezing and the lag time. And
it would be so great if somebody would publish, not even publish a software, because there's all kinds of software out there. I don't know, but some kind of a plug-in where you would just take a little plug-in, like a Bluetooth plug-in, and you could plug it into your computer and poof, you'd be broadcast quality.
I want
think
Jason to be
SpaceX is
able
working
to
on
put makeup on me with a green screen.
yeah, I wish you could, make me look like Catherine Zeta-Jones with the green screen. Can you work on that?
You have to paint your face green.
Okay.
I'm willing to do it.
Then it'd be easy.
Paul, I know you were having some special challenges.
Yeah, and try as I might. Yeah, I would say I'd love to see things consistent. And that kind of goes along with being able to knock things out and whatever. But it's Zoom, and then it's my Ethernet, but then I've got to do this, and if things were just less technical, so that we could work on.
Yeah. As a stage actor, as stage actors, we're so spoiled because, to be honest, until we get to Tech Week, and they tell us stand here, now stand there, you're not in your light, you are in your light, don't wear white, we are not responsible for anything to do with tech as actors. And now all of a sudden we are, and it's really not as much fun as you might think, folks. Nancy, I know, look at you shaking your head.
It's awesome,
right? It's awesome when it works. Yes.
I love it. I think I can do everything that works. It doesn't. I'm like, how was I supposed to know?
Risa has a question.
I think the biggest thing that in terms of technology, Lisa, that we look at is like in areas where Paul is. I mean, Paul has a great computer, but he has, crappy Wi-Fi. Up here in Western Mass, not all of our hill towns even have broadband. I think that people don't realize that in rural areas, like up here in Massachusetts, in the rural areas, that I have a friend who, with COVID, he has to go somewhere else because he's got 2 kids in school at home, and they don't, the hill towns don't have broadband, so there's not enough, there's not enough service for everybody to be on at the same time, so I work with people at work who have kids at school, and they're working, and it's really difficult in our system, and that I think that our country takes a look at that and says, we need to give broadband service across America. And I see, Nancy, you're shaking your head. So
I have 2 stories along that line. My brother is a very successful physician, and he just recently moved to 10 acres in Washington State. He wanted to go west, and he went west, and then COVID happened. And he's got 2 kids trying to learn from home next to a mountain that does not have broadband. And it's not that's not a money issue. There is no even the state is trying to figure out how from the top of the next mountain to get broadband to everybody who lives there. And a lot of the native populations, there's a lot more native populations within our 50 states than I think most of us realize. They don't have a lot, and they're trying to drive kids often 10, 20 miles from the center of the reservation out because they can't get any Wi-Fi or routers or anything. And their communities have been devastated by COVID. So it's not like, oh, we need to get those kids back in school. There's kind of a no-win situation here. We don't have basic utilities in some of these places where, as Risa said, people live rurally. And I think often of the Tennessee Valley Project and think, is this time going to push that sort of thing with that happened with electricity with broadband?
A rural electrification program.
Yeah.
So instead of rural broadband program.
I've heard of similar stories, right here in Connecticut, just kids that don't have Wi-Fi at home having to drive and sit outside of Starbucks and do their homework in their car, hooked up to the Starbucks Wi-Fi. I think Risa said, it's really highlighted the inequities in our society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a question for Lisa and Jason.
Okay.
How has this experience for you guys been different than stage directing and stage managing?
Lisa, do you want to do your part first, or should I go?
You go.
Okay. I've dropped a lot of the stage managing duties. I don't have to drive to the hall and unlock it and shovel the stairs if they've got snow on them, and then put the set back together because we took it all apart so that they could build the set behind it. Take all the furniture off the stage and put it back on. That's been substituted with technology. I do sound a lot for the theater as well, and what I do for the video is very similar to what I do for the audio, is just set up cue to cue to cue. Last show, I nearly had a heart attack trying to get this technology to work. Fortunately, I'm at the top of the learning curve and falling off the edge. But this was far easier to get through than the last time, and I'm hoping that the next time will be even far easier to get through, and that I will be able to offer more bells and whistles, maybe better screen stuff, better connectivity. No promises, but I'll do my best.
Yeah. I mean, for me, as a director, I'm very much a as some of you said, I'm very much into character and script and what is the script asking us for, and why do these characters do what they do, and all of that. I'm very much into character work, and so there was no difference in terms of working virtually or working live at the theater. Absolutely no difference. One of the things I really liked was that because we have everybody's so comfortable with Zoom and all of that, we could have these wonderful character sessions, these beautiful virtual character sessions without anybody leaving their house. And we could schedule them at whatever was convenient for anybody without having to unlock the theater and not having to turn on the heat, not having to. So that was actually really fun. It's funny about the technology. I tend to do my plans for a set or whatever tend to be very simple. And so, for example, in the plays I write as well as the plays I direct, I want a park bench. I want a table and 2 chairs. I like to let the characters, the actors, and the script shine. So going to virtual, I didn't really have very high expectations technologically. I wanted a certain kind of background for the superintendent, a certain kind of zippity-doo-dah background for live television. And then when I found out we had the ability to arrange the boxes in a certain order, now I could do blocking. And you could see that we could have Denise Watson look to her left and look to her right as if she was looking at the two characters, even though it is a Zoom meeting. And so Jason conquering that hill and enabling us to do some things I didn't think were going to be possible really expanded my creative options. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Good. I hate to be a Grinch, even though it's around Christmas, but we've been at it twice as long as the play is long in terms of this talk back. I'm willing to go farther if others are, but perhaps this might
Actually
be.
have to leave soon.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the Suffield players, I really, again, want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you, my actors. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Jason. Thank you in the background, Risa and Jerry. And if you want to watch the show again, anybody, we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Thank you, and have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank
Stand
you.
by and let me do the.
Thanks for coming.
And we're out.